This is Manzoor Memon, PBC TV Network. I'm here at the Harris County Appraisal Board office with Jack Barnett. He is Chief Communication Officer for Harris County Appraisal District. Today we are trying to get educated for the public what the Harris County Appraisal District does. And Jack, thank you very much for giving your time, and we appreciate this will be a good public education for the people what the Harris County Appraisal District does. So tell us what is Harris County Appraisal District? How did it come from, and how did it came being, and what does it do? Quickly.
Well, the appraisal districts came throughout the state of Texas, came into being in 1979 when the state legislature created them. It took 3 or 4 years for them to really get up and running, but there's one in each county. They all operate under the same state laws, and our job is to appraise property and put a value on that property every year.
I see. So your job is to see the value of every property and compare it with other properties and go up or down on the properties. Does it only go up or it goes down too?
No, our requirement according to state law is to appraise the property as of its January 1st value every year.
Okay.
So if the prices are going up, then the January value will reflect that upward trend, and if they go down, then the prices will also go down.
Go down. So both ways, it comes down or up here.
That's correct, and this is for all property. This is homes, this is the downtown skyscrapers, this is every mall that you see, hospital, anything that you drive by, we are responsible for appraising.
Okay, so what month you send a notice to people that, hey, your property's gone up? What generally?
We send a value notice probably end of March, beginning of April to most homeowners.
Okay.
And
what
for business owners, it can differ.
It can differ. And then what they are supposed to do?
At that point, once the property owner gets their property notice, they then can decide if they think that value is correct or not. If they don't feel that it's correct, then the state has given them the opportunity to file a protest on that. And once they do that, homeowners have several different options on how they can go about the protest process.
Can you tell the people like how the informal, formal, and other options they have it?
That's right. We try to make it as convenient as possible, which is why we give them several options. You can do it online, you can file your protest online, you can go through the whole process online. And you never have to come in if it's settled that way. You also have the option of coming in and sitting down across a desk, like you and I are talking, and talk with an appraiser about the property value if you don't feel that it's correct. If the appraiser feels that the value is correct or gives you a different value but you're not happy with it yet, then your other option is to go to the Appraisal Review Board. And that's a board of 3 people that are chosen from about 190 people on the Appraisal Review Board itself. And you would present your case to the Appraisal Review Board, and they would make a determination then.
Okay. If they are not happy with that, then what are other options they have?
And if they're not happy with that, there are other options that they can do. Those are the options that basically are free. But if they still aren't happy, then they can, of course, file a lawsuit. They can go to arbitration. There's still some options for them.
So I understand
but those start to cost money for the property owner.
The arbiter what cost about $500 to make a case.
I don't know what the cost of that is.
I think it's about $500 you pay, and then you get into arbitration, and then if that also does not work, then you go to the Harris County court system.
And certainly those are options.
Let's talk about appraisal board.
Mm-hmm.
Now, appraisal board is an independent body, you're saying, right? Correct?
That's correct. They're
Yeah.
totally independent from the appraisal district. The hearings are held here because there has to be an appraiser representing the appraisal district. So it's more convenient to have them here in the building so that the appraisers can be in the hearings. And the appraisal review board then is chosen by a state district judge here in Houston. There would be one that would do that for each county as well. And then the people who are interested in becoming members of the appraisal review board submit an application, and the judge reviews the application and makes a determination, selects the people who are going to be on the appraisal review board for the following year.
So there's a judge from Harris County who appoints these people.
Correct.
Okay, and who pays these members of the review board?
The members of the review board are paid through the tax dollars of all the jurisdictions, of all the taxing units. So the city, the school districts, municipal utility districts, the county, they all put money into the appraisal district for our budget. And then we would write a check to the appraisal review board members.
So technically, Harris County Appraisal District pays for the review members.
The Harris County Appraisal District would write the check for the new members.
So,
and they would do the administrative work rather than having the appraisal review board have a budget staff.
But that's the one gray area what people have been talking about when I talk to other people, that how can they be independent when Harris County Appraisal District pays for their remuneration. So if I hire you and I'm the one who is paying you, how could you be against me? So that's one thing I wanted to see. Maybe you can.
Well, we
elaborate.
don't hire the appraisal review board. That is all done by the judge.
Okay.
The qualifications are looked at. The judge makes the determination who would be the best people to serve on the board. We just provide an administrative function to write the paycheck.
Right. So you
Yes.
don't know whether they are political appointees or they are friends, or you don't know. How does this process?
Well, there are strict qualifications that the
that.
state sets forth for the judge in making those appointments.
Appointment.
But I don't know what those are because we, as an appraisal district, don't get closely involved with the appraisal review board members.
I see.
And they have training that is provided by the state comptroller.
Okay.
So again, we don't provide any of the training for them. And we are very careful not to discuss any of the information about any of the cases that they're going to be
Yeah,
hearing. In
I'm-
fact, we are forbidden
Yeah.
to discuss it.
I'm glad you brought it up. That was my next question. You know that they don't know anything about the property, and when they sit on the board, they have no knowledge about the property. So they.
Correct, and if they do, if they know something about the property or they know the property owner, they must recuse themselves from hearing that particular case.
But in that case, you know, sometimes I've done some research on some properties just to give you idea. I picked up like 5 properties on one street owned by the same people, and their values varied between $92 per foot to $106 per foot. Same year built and same everything. So I think in one way they are independent and they kind of give you a value based on not knowing about your property. But don't you think it's a good idea to brief them about the areas a little more so that they can do a more justifiable comparison between the properties? Because that's one of the things when we have talked to other people, they have given me some properties which I will mention to you that apple to apple comparison is not there. You know, say there's a property here which is called 1917 Estate, which is an older property than this property of 2033 Estate. So one is $106 per square foot and one is $92 square foot. So it's kind of give them not much knowledge about the property itself. So it's very difficult, I think, for the appraisal board to give a judgment on something. So don't you think it will be a better idea, in my view, that they should be educated on the properties itself also?
Well, you have to remember their job is not to appraise the property. That's our job. And during the ARB hearing, they act as the judges who make the determination. So during the hearing, we would give our opinion of the value, and then the property owner would give their opinion of the value and the reasons why they would differ. The appraisal review board then would just make a determination. They would be like the judge, and they would hear both sides of the case, and they would make a determination of who was right, or maybe a value that would be slightly different.
I've gone through this about 30 years also myself. This is my 31st year, so I've been coming in the hearing. But only one problem which I'm seeing, which I brought it up to you, is that there is not apple to apple comparison, and that might be one of the things I want to bring to you also, that when you sit with them, if I have a property which is, say, 2 houses, flip-flop, same year built, I would expect their value to be the same, right?
Well, there can be a lot of factors that determine the value.
But if I prove,
and it could be the different areas of the city that they are in.
The same place, 2 lots next to each other. One is 1807, one is 1811. Built same year, built exactly flip-flop. You would assume that the value of those should be the same, right?
Well, I can't really discuss specific properties, but in the same neighborhood.
I'm talking hypothetically.
I understand that, and in the same neighborhoods, we do try to look at similar properties and put a value on those.
Yeah. But that's one of the thing I want to discuss with you, because I've got several of them. Like, for example, I'm going to give you some properties. One property is 1807 Hillshire, and one is 1811 Hillshire. Now, one is finally appraised as $84, and one is appraised $90. They are both exactly 101% flip-flop, year built and everything, but it's a different value. So how can you address this thing when you sit with your committees or the board of directors, that what they can do is to make sure that do an apple-to-apple comparison?
Well, it's really up to the property owner to bring in any information or evidence that they think would help the board make a decision and make a determination. And so the property owner should bring in anything that would specifically go back to a particular property. So I don't know. I mean, there could be that one property maybe has a
but I've got
roof
several of them.
that's different.
I've got several of them, and that is one thing I want to, which really triggered me to interview you and discuss with the people, that what are the people thinking, They are thinking that this is more like a number game. They come in here and they are like playing a lotto, on one property they win, and one property they don't win. And when you discuss this thing with the ARP during the meetings, that the value of both these houses should be the same, but why it's different, but it doesn't happen. So that's one thing I want to tell you, the gray area. Maybe the ARB and HCAD people should be looking into that, and it will be good for the public to know.
Well, if a property owner has several properties and he knows that they're all the same, but they're coming out with a different value, then he probably should look at the information that the appraisal district has. And maybe there's something in that information that is different and that is making the value change. So that is the first plan of a property owner, is to check that information, contact the appraisal district. If they don't want to contact the appraisal district beforehand, then definitely they should come to meet with an appraiser in that informal meeting and discuss those things.
That was a good point. They need to go. Now they say that they have some evidence already in the system. When the property owners are coming for the hearing, they should read that. Where is that information? Sometimes I have a hard time to get that evidence. Can you educate me a little on that? How to get the information? What the appraisals have, which they submit in the ARB? How to get access to that information?
Sure. There are several ways that you can get access as a property owner. And one of those ways is to come in here to the third floor, and that information would be available to you at least 14 days before your hearing. The other way is for you to go online and get that information. And you would have to sign up for our online property owner access to do that. Yes.
So you have to sign up with that, and then you can get.
That's right. You can get that online from your home.
Yeah, I see. Okay. One thing I want to ask you: in one of the cases, we recorded some ARB hearings also, and in that there was a question brought it up to one of the appraisers from.
Were these your ARB hearings, or?
Yeah, and they were using some kind of a factor. Maybe you can educate the public also on that. We were trying to fight on a property, and the property in question was built, say, 2010, and there were no comparative sales in that area. So they were comparing. There were no sales, nothing. And they picked a house which was built in 1956, and it was sold. And they were using that house with some factors, and those factors was beyond. I'm a good mathematician. Was beyond my knowledge how that factors came in play, and eventually they convinced the ARB also that the value of my house was like $106,000 versus the sale was like a $42 per foot. So he kind of calculated, and I kept on insisting him during that where are you getting this factor, but he could not satisfactorily answer my question. That do you have any knowledge about these different factors which Harris County uses?
No, I don't know what you're talking about on that.
Yeah, maybe that one will be one thing. Ask your appraisers to educate the people that if there's an old suppose you don't have a property sold in your area, what is the criteria of increasing somebody's property to 30% based on a 1956 sale or old sale? Because that, I'm still trying to learn on that. Maybe we talk to somebody to answer that question. But they use some kind of a factor, and then my property was like a 37% more than last year, and that I couldn't understand it. But so we have talked to some people, and some of the people are very happy with your procedure. We met with one older lady, and she came out of the interview and she was very happy. I met one person who was a real estate agent, and she was not happy because she thought also that this is more of like you have to fight on the numbers and all that. So basically there are both opinions out there, but I think it's a good system. The only thing my request to you would be, my personal experience I want to share with you is that they are not doing an apple-to-apple comparison, because that is the only flaw I'm seeing. That if there is a house which is built in an older subdivision with custom features, they should not compare that to a house which is a rental house, which is a old house or something. And then like say they have one house built on one street, it increases the value of 200 houses. Then once house gets sold, they increase the value of 200 houses across the board, and then they make the people fight on everything. And that part, as a public, I'm saying that it may not be a very positive thing to do, which kind of give you a negative impact on the public, is that you should see that if there's one house sold, say, for $120 per foot, and the other houses are $100 per foot, maybe that $120, maybe it was a custom house, or maybe there was something in there. So you make 200 people fight for their life to get their value back to that where it was. And that is one flaw your system has. So maybe address that. This is my personal opinion on that this is what they are doing it. And sometimes they are not looking the universal market in the Houston area, how much the values have gone up. I think they should look at that also. If the value is gone up 5%, 6%, which is fine that you should increase to 5-6%, but then a lot of times they jack up the prices. I've got about 11 properties, they were valued about 37 to 44% more from last year. And when discussion was brought it up that, hey, not a single house in the whole Houston area has gone more than 4 or 5%, and where did you come up with this 37% increase? But there was no answer to that. But ARB was nice enough that they realized that the market has not gone that up, and they reduced the value. It's not that, but you have to fight as a customer. We have to fight for those numbers, and instead of that, there could be some better way to help the people to keep their values in line with the market.
I certainly can say that there are a number of ways that a property owner can influence what decisions are made on the property tax process. And it's not just by going to the appraisal district or filing a protest. That certainly is one of them. But every time that the legislature meets, if the property owner isn't happy with a particular part of that process, they can contact their state legislator and talk to them about it. And that's an opportunity for the property owner to then have their voice be heard. And certainly another way that the property owner can have their voice heard is when the taxing units meet each year to adopt their budget and then set the tax rate. They have to publicize that, so the property owner can go to that meeting and make their voice heard there as well.
Who sets up those property rate taxes? The state or Harris County?
The tax rates are set individually by the taxing units. So Harris County would adopt a budget that they feel they need, and they would then set a tax rate that would provide the funds for that budget. City would do the same thing, school districts do the same thing, all of the municipal utility districts or the emergency services districts do the exact same thing. And they have to publicize those meetings when they're going to be adopting the budget and setting the tax rate. And that's put in the newspapers.
But on that, you brought it up mud, Do you think in mud is a double taxing?
We follow the state laws. So that is our job, is to follow the laws, and we have to provide the same information to the utility districts that we do to everybody else.
I know. But I'm in Pasadena, and I have to pay so much to a Clear Lake Water Authority also, because it's part of like a mud district or something. And so it kind of gets like a double tax, though you're paying City of Pasadena also, and then you're paying the mud district also. So we don't agree.
Well, I don't know how they divide up their boundaries, like and sometimes they may overlap. So I just
I think
don't know.
It's like a more of a double taxing in my view. One final question: these different companies, which are formed, which tell the people that they can get their values reduced. Are these people mostly ex-employees of Harris County Appraisal Districts, that when they leave here, they go and make companies, and then they come and form these companies and tell the people that they can get their values reduced?
I don't know where ex-employees go to work, so
Yeah.
I could not answer that question.
But what's your final thought? What you would like the people to know about your department?
Well, I think the two things that we really do want people to know is, first, we want to educate the public. We want to educate the property owners so that they understand the whole process, because it is complicated and it can be very confusing. Most people only deal with it once or twice a year, maybe once when they get their value notice in the spring, and maybe the other time when they get their tax bill in October or November. So that's the first thing. And in order to educate the public, we are going throughout the county doing property tax workshops. Many times we do it on our own, but many times we also take representatives from the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector's Office, because they have a separate piece of this whole process, and they can tell people how to save money through tax deferrals and making sure that all of their bills are paid on time, or there are arrangements that are made so that it does lower the amount of money that ultimately would be owed to the tax assessor. The second thing, in addition to the education, is that when they come in here, whether it's for a meeting with an appraiser or a hearing with the appraisal review board, we want them to know that we're listening to them, that they can be heard. And the education and the thing about us listening to the property owners ties together, because part of the education process is don't just come into the appraisal review board and say, my taxes are too high, you've got to change this. You have to be prepared as a property owner, and you have to look at your property, what sets it apart from other properties in that neighborhood, and bring in any evidence, any information that you have that would show the appraisal review board or the appraiser that value that's currently on the property may not be correct.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I'm going to conclude in that, but I want to just tell you one thing, that I've been coming about 31 years, and since you have come in this new building, your service has gone tremendously improved. The timing to attend the hearings is very good. At one time, if you remember when you used to have office at PC Jester, there used to be like 2-hour wait. And like whole day you are waiting for one property to be there. But right now I think you've got a good system, and I appreciate you serving the community. And one thing I want to tell the general public, that when you come, you need to bring the evidence, and the way the evidence is supposed to be done, if you got a home, go to your neighborhood. First of all, do an analysis of all the houses in your neighborhood and see how much they are appraised for. And if you see that your value is higher than some houses which are in the neighborhood, go take that pictures, because I think what I have seen it in my personal hearing experience of 30 years is that if you've got photographs of your property, inside, outside, your roof, your foundation, or anything which you have problems, you bring it up. I think they are very sympathetic to see that your property may have a lesser value than the other ones. But if you are going to just, like Jack said, if you're just going to say, and my value is higher, they are not going to listen to you. You need to prove that you are just like you are in the court. And in the court, you have to justify your case. And then if you justify, I have a better experience, Jack, getting the values reduced myself rather than hiring companies. Because in my view, the companies sometimes, they just go and you are like a number for them, and they just get a little bit reduced to get some money. But I have a better experience because I do a lot of research. I, take a lot of pictures, and when the ARB sees those pictures, I think they are more sympathetic to do it.
Well, and nobody knows your property better than you do.
Exactly. So that's one thing, for the general public, it is requested that when you're coming, do some research, and we have a free service. If PBC TV network will give you a free service, and I have got some real estate agent also who is on has given me an interview. She has also provided a free service, which is very unique, that people want to give free service. If you need help, they will meet with you and give you a idea how to go and fight with your property values. So thank you very much, Jack, for your time. I hope
You're welcome.
we will bring this to the public and it will help the public. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much. I appreciate it.